All right, welcome back, guys, to another ABL video, a continuation of the series of the NFL team season recaps. Today, I'm joined by Julian,
What's up?
and we're going to be recapping the Packers 2025 NFL season. So, the Packers, another seven seed season, another first round exit, but preseason, Packers trade for Micah Parsons about a week before the season. What were your expectations for the Packers going into the season as a Packers fan?
I mean, coming into this season, I feel like the last few years it's been Super Bowl or bust. And we've been ever since before we even had Jordan Love with Aaron Rodgers, just when LaFleur came in, kind of changed the whole culture around after McCarthy. And it's been Super Bowl since then. It's been, last one was 2010. We've always been competing, always in the playoffs. So it was Super Bowl or bust this season. And obviously it didn't go our way, but we'll see what the future has in store.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, I wasn't as high on the Packers going into the season, mainly because, I felt like they slightly overpaid for Micah Parsons, but I understood the move. But go the first week, dominated the Lions, which at the time everyone still viewed as a Super Bowl contender. And the next week, you guys beat the Commanders, who still everyone viewed as a Super Bowl contender. All of a sudden, the Packers are 2-0 against two playoff caliber teams. And then you kind of lose week three against the Browns and tie the Cowboys. And it feels like ever since then, the Packers were not the same.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few hiccups there. We had the game against the Browns. We lost to the Panthers. Some special teams kind of played a part. I mean, it played a part in the postseason against the Bears. It played a part during the season. Obviously, that's been like a weak point the past few years. Ever since Mason Crosby left, we can't find a reliable kicker.
Yeah.
Um, I think after those first 4 weeks, they kind of shook it off a little, and it got a little better from there, but obviously with injuries and stuff, it kind of turned around at the end. But
Yeah, let's get into it because I feel like it's been the past couple of years Jordan Love has not been able to stay healthy. And I don't doubt that he's a franchise quarterback. I think he kind of put that to bed this season because when he came back and was playing, he played phenomenal, especially in that wild card round against the Bears, which we'll get into in a minute. But just kind of looking at it, like Malik Willis played good all this, and now this offseason, he's probably going to go to another team, probably the Dolphins. How do you feel Matt LaFleur has been kind of in terms of like the offense and developing the quarterbacks?
I mean, regular season, it's always good to start. I mean, first 13, 14 games, we're always doing good. It tends to fall off towards the end of the season. We start losing some big games to division rivals like Lions. We lost to the Bears. I mean, brutal choke there with the onside kick and everything. I think LaFleur is a good coach. He's a good offensive minded guy, but when it really comes down to it, we've seen like throughout the playoffs, like he's getting these big leads and just blowing them. And I don't know how many more chances he's going to get.
Yeah, no, and going back to the regular season and the losses to the Browns and the Panthers and the tie against the Cowboys, I feel like this happens every year. The Packers lose to one or two teams they shouldn't lose to. And Packers fans, you guys have been complaining about being a seven seed for the past 3 years. Part of that is you guys lose to mediocre teams in the regular season. And it's just like I feel like if Matt LaFleur wants to retain his job next year, he's going to retain it next year, but the year after, you got to put together a 12, 13 win season.
Yeah, I think for LaFleur next year, his goal's got to be the Packers have to be the 1 seed and
Oh
one or
yeah.
two seed in the NFC and definitely win the division. I mean, it is a really good division. You can't blame him for that. Like I'd say, obviously, like Seahawks, Niners, Rams, like that's the premier division. But I think besides that, we're right behind them. Like Vikings are looking good now. Like at a 500, over 500 season, they have a good coach. They were pretty injured the whole year. Bears have Ben Johnson. They're pretty good. They're winning playoff games. The Lions are obviously a good team. That they were the 1 seed 2 years ago. So I mean, we are competing with the best, but it really comes down to just beating the teams in our division and winning the division, which LaFleur hasn't been able to do over the past few years. And it's costing us with their playoff seeding. Like coming in as a 7 seed, we won that 1 year against Dallas, but last 2 years we're playing the Eagles and then we're playing the Bears. We don't have home field advantage, and then we're just losing in the first round. It's pretty unacceptable with all the talent on the squad.
Yeah, well, let's just get into the playoffs because you play the Bears, and if Bears fans, this was probably a worst case scenario for them in the playoffs. The Bears got the two seed, and now they have to play the Packers, who, let's be honest, the Packers have owned the Bears since about 2010. And you kind of, and they go, the Packers get a 21-6 lead, and it's looking like Packers are going to do it again. They're going to set 7 seed, upset a 2 seed. And not just that, they're still going to be superior to the Bears. And then, and I don't question coaches' play calling very often, but it was clear the Bears cornerback too, Kyler Gordon, was very injured. He was giving up every single pass. And Matt LaFleur decided to get conservative with the run game. And prior to that, the run game was not working that game. I get Josh Jacobs is a great player. It was not working that day. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. And I mean, just to give up on the passing game and just blow that lead, I mean, I felt like that was kind of unacceptable.
It was. I mean, we've seen it with LaFleur before. He's very, very passive play caller when he goes up. I mean, he might be the best first half coach in the league.
Mm-hmm.
The way like every time the Packers start with the ball, it's pretty much a first drive touchdown. They're always putting up points, getting big leads, and then once it gets to the second half, it's just conservative like inside zone calls. The run game is really inconsistent. Like Josh Jacobs is either going to have 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, or he's going to rush for 2 yards a carry. But the floor is just not able to read the game enough, I feel like, where he just wants to try and get time off the clock by running the ball instead of just sticking with what's working. And we saw that in the playoff game where they were running the ball, it wasn't working, but the main problem was they weren't taking any time off the clock. Like I remember in the fourth quarter, we're up, I think it was 2 touchdowns, and we got the ball. It was 13 minutes. We ran 3 plays, gave the ball back within like I think it was a minute 20 seconds. Like you're not getting any time off the clock. The Bears get the ball, they go score, make it a one-score game. And that's just what really killed the team. Like time management, clock management is really important. You want to get ahead of the chains. And when on first down and second down, we're running 1, 2 yard run plays right up the middle, getting in the third and long and giving the ball right back. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and in that Bears game, there's some plays that are just uncontrollable. Like that Caleb Williams throw on that third or fourth and 8 to Roma Dunze. That was one of the greatest throws I've ever seen. I mean, you can't control that stuff. Like that's just like it's just pure luck, never gonna happen again. I'll give him a pass on that. But just like you said, the time management. If you're gonna run the ball, at least burn the clock. And also, like, I just don't get you were beating the Bears on these corner routes and like kind of curl routes every single play, and he just stopped that.
I mean, we saw it during the regular season too. Packers had a big lead. That game was for basically to win the division right there.
Hmm.
Packers have a big lead the whole game. We get into the fourth quarter. We try and run the ball, make some mistakes. Bears score, and then the whole onside kick, like fiasco, that goes down. Whatever, we lose in overtime. But we're still thinking, at least I'm still thinking at that point, like we're the better team. We beat them in the regular season, the game before, like 2, 3 weeks before that. We had that game in the bag, and then we choke it. We go into the playoffs, and then we choke it again. And I don't know, it might just be Ben Johnson has Matt LaFleur's number. That might
Yeah.
be the point.
Yeah, and I think part of Matt LaFleur's thing is like, and this is a trait of the coaches in the Shanahan McVay tree, that like Kyle Shanahan, he kind of sticks to that play sheet. He doesn't kind of feel out the game. Like I feel like whatever's on that play sheet, he's gonna stick to it, which is a lot like Kyle Shanahan and less like McVay. And just staying on the topic of LaFleur, Black Monday, all the coaches were getting fired. There's some shocking firings like Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh. What do you think, Mike? Would you have liked Matt LaFleur to get fired?
I was a fan of firing Matt LaFleur. I mean, that could have just been like the emotions of the moment. I think now, like, I think it's a better option that we stuck with him because
Yeah.
honestly, he's a good coach. If we get rid of him, he's just going to go get like another team just going to go hire him. It's not like he can't find a job anywhere else. And I mean, obviously, there's a lot of good coaches on the market that we saw like 10 coaches have been hired, like so all
Yeah.
these openings. But I think just to stick with what works, like he knows his guys. I think more free agency. We have to target some players. We got some weak spots on our team to go after, and it's going to come down to LaFleur and the GM just making the right choices for who they need at what positions.
Yeah, I mean, I know we had this debate a couple weeks ago. I was pro keep Matt LaFleur, even though we just kind of spent the past couple of minutes bashing his play calling. He is a top 10 coach in the league, and it's just like you have to say to yourself, if we fire him, who's going to be better? Like it's like the Ravens. They fired Harbaugh. Well, who's going to be better? No guarantee Jesse Minter is the next Mike McDonald, even though everyone says he is. Let's say they would have fired LaFleur, got Harbaugh. Okay. but it's still, you need an offensive play caller, and Matt LaFleur has built Jordan Love up. And Aaron Rodgers had two MVP seasons under him, and Matt LaFleur still has a couple of playoff wins. So, and a couple weeks ago, as the coaching cycle is getting done, your kind of head of scouting assistant GM goes to the Dolphins. Jeff Hafley, your defensive coordinator, follows him. The Packers replace Hafley with Jonathan Gannon, the former Cardinals coach, who I think great candidate to be the defensive coordinator. What are your thoughts on kind of losing Hafley? Because that defense was, I mean, most underrated defense in the NFL for the past couple years. It was so good.
It was. I mean, Halfley deserved to go get a head coaching job. Obviously, what he did. I mean, I think towards the end of the season, if we even look at the numbers, it's like defense kind of went down. They weren't as good,
Mhm.
but we can contribute that to like obviously our big free agency move, getting Micah Parsons in that trade.
Yeah.
Like losing him really hurt the team. Like
If you have Micah Parsons, you beat the Bears. That's my
I think if we
opinion.
have Micah Parsons, we're the one seed, and I think we're playing the Super Bowl right now. I mean, before we look at it when he got injured, we're 9-3. We're in Arrowhead or not Arrowhead. We're in the Mile High Stadium. We're playing the Broncos, the one seed of the AFC. We just saw they made the conference championship, almost won with their backup QB. We're up 9 points going into the fourth quarter. Micah Parsons gets hurt, and we kind of just see the season fall apart from there. I think from that point on, we blow that lead. We lose to Denver in Denver, and then we lose the next 5 games straight. And you can't say like one player makes the whole team, but he was that defense. I think Gannon will come in. Obviously, he didn't have a great stint with the Cardinals, but he's a defensive minded coach. He's better on the defensive side of the ball. The Cardinals are kind of their own little mess right now. And I don't think anyone can really save what they have going on there. But
Oh
just
no,
for
it's
him to
like the
come in,
worst job.
yeah, I think Halfley's a good coach. Like, there's a reason Miami wants him. But I think Gannon will he'll do just fine as long as Micah comes back and he's still 90%, 80% of the player he was before.
Yeah, and if you're the Packers, you traded for Micah for that exact moment against the Bears in the wild card round where you're kind of blowing the lead, you need a stop. And I do believe he would have made a play that helped you guys beat the Bears. Like I don't like to say a player can win you a game besides a quarterback, but there's a reason you gave up two first round picks and are paying him 47 million a year. Like Micah, like, not a Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Nick Bosa level guy, but he would have, in my opinion, if you have Micah, you're playing football deep into January. Like, I don't know about Super Bowl because the Seahawks they're kind of
Seahawks are a
OP
good
right now.
team.
Yeah. But it's why and it's just unfortunate. You just kind of got screwed over, kind of like the Niners with Bosa getting injured and stuff. It sucks, it happens. You just kind of got screwed with that Micah injury.
Yeah, I mean, he was the soul of the defense,
Oh yeah.
like for sure. We lost Devontae Wyatt too. He was
Mhm.
our starting deep defensive tackle. So we lose two guys on our line. Rashawn Gary puts up the worst season of his life. I mean, I think he's pretty much a shoe-in to be off the team this year. We're paying him way too much money to put up
Yeah.
below mediocre numbers, gives lackluster effort. And his numbers were decent with Micah. But the thing was, Mike is getting double, triple team. It's leaving him on one-on-ones. He's getting
Yeah.
past them. Once the defense starts focusing their game plan on him, completely slowed down. I mean, those last few weeks were brutal.
Yeah. So going into kind of the offseason, I know we touched on it a couple minutes ago. So the Packers, I mean, I don't see any real need for the Packers. I know people would say, oh, maybe they trade for a receiver like AJ Brown. The receiving core is fine. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, those guys are fine. Maybe add another guy, but I don't think you need an AJ Brown. So what do you think, like in your kind of dream offseason, what would you want the Packers, like who would you want them to acquire via free agency or trade or even the draft?
Well, going to Dobbs, our receiving core. Dobbs is a free agent this year. I
Yeah.
mean, he's basically our. We don't have a real wide receiver one. It's a bunch of wide receiver twos and wide receiver threes running around. I mean, you watch a Packers game, six guys are on. There's six wide receivers playing 50% of the snaps. And I think Dobbs is going to demand a pretty big contract. Nothing like crazy, but maybe 10, 15 million a year, which I don't know if he's really worth it. Like, what has he proven? He's a good player. He plays good in the playoffs, but at best, he's a really good wide receiver too,
Yeah.
which I don't think he's worth that money. We saw what Golden did in that last game against the Bears. I think LaFleur has to give Golden the ball a little more. I mean, I think he had one touchdown, which was in that playoff game, and like 400 yards for the whole season. one of the best wide receivers coming out of the class. He obviously has talent. There's a reason we drafted him that high. He's productive in college, but 400 yards is just unacceptable. I think we got to, and it wasn't even his fault. I just think he's not getting the ball enough. His snap share was low. Jaden Reed was out most of the year. He like hurt himself, I think, week 1 or 2 with the collarbone injury. Christian Watson's obviously he's a stud, but we need that glorified like 1,000 yard wide receiver, the safety
Yeah.
blanket guy, like we had with Devontae Adams before. So that's one thing I would attack is maybe developing Golden. I'm not saying we have to sign another wide receiver because
Yeah.
we have Watson on contract, we got Reed, and Reed's still on his rookie deal. Golden's on his rookie deal. Like, we're saving a lot of money at the wide receiver spot. Those are three guys, Watson, Reed, and Golden, I think could be a really solid wide receiver for that any team would want. And then switching to the defensive side of the ball, um, I think Rashawn Gary has to go. He doesn't
Yeah.
give enough effort.
Save some cap
We
room too.
we pay him way too much money. I think his contract's done this year.
Hmm.
And we need a cornerback really bad. Our cornerbacks, the secondaries, we have Xavier McKinney, which is like a lifesaver. The guy gets like 8 interceptions a year guaranteed. It's a perfect safety. Our safeties are great, but our cornerbacks are really, really lacking. Like we got rid of Rasul Douglas. We tried to pick up Trayvon Diggs, got him for a week. He's just
Didn't
too
work
much
out.
money, too
Yeah.
inconsistent. He's coming off an injury, hasn't played in 2 years. I think maybe we go and try and attack maybe like a veteran corner, trade like third, fourth round pick, get a veteran that's proven, or go in the draft, draft some guy. I still think we should sign or trade a veteran, draft a young guy with like high potential, kind of work him up in the next year or two and get him to be a like a starting caliber corner. But Carrington Valentine, he's not going to cut it.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a very unique offseason for the Packers because they don't normally trade their first round picks. And this is kind of, I feel like, the first time in my lifetime where they don't have a first rounder. So, but luckily the Packers, I mean, guys like Zach Tom, um, Romeo Dobbs, even like Jalen Reed, you have gotten those guys in the mid to late rounds and developed them, even AJ Dillon a couple years ago. So I don't think that's going to be too big of a problem. And there's always, a cornerback or two every year who, a
Yeah,
second or third round guy who just ends up being a hit. I mean, like this Nick Imamari guy from the Seahawks, I think he's a third round pick, one of the best like defensive backs in the league right now.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it just comes down to like scouting report. Packers are really good at drafting. I will say we usually do draft really good players. They are a big like project team though. When
Hmm.
we take players, we don't kind of throw them in there and they make an immediate impact. It takes 2, 3 years for them to come in and start making an impact. Um, our first round pick last year, Jordan Morgan, we drafted an offensive lineman to kind
Yeah.
of buff that lineup. He's switching from guard to tackle. He hasn't really found his position yet. He hasn't been really too good. I mean, we'll give him a break because he's a rookie, but I expected a lot more from him. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
the best ability is availability. At least he's able to play. But when you're playing and you're not playing that well in the run and pass protection, it's a lot. We need a big step up from him. Zach Tom's he's our best offensive lineman. He went
Mhm.
down with injury too in that Broncos game. So losing him was a big loss, but every team deals with injuries. They're not the first team to do it. So it's more about pushing through it.
Yeah, well, is doing better than Simmons for the Chiefs. He's played like 4 games for us like this year. But yeah, very exciting, unique offseason for the Packers. The season was an interesting one, kind of felt like a similar one to the past three. And the NFC North's only going to get tougher. I mean, the Vikings kind of got their GM out of there, so now they're kind of locked in. The Lions are still the Lions, and the Bears are now all of a sudden like a Super Bowl contender for next year.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that division and I think the Packers are the best team on paper, just going position by
Yeah,
position. I think we have one of the better coaches. I'd say, I mean, I don't even know if I could say that now because that's four really good coaches.
yeah.
But Kevin O'Connell's a really good coach in Minnesota. Like
Oh
that
yeah,
team
he's
is not,
phenomenal.
they're not working with a lot of talent. Where we're like 14-3 last year. They finished the year 9-8. They finished it strong. They don't even have a quarterback. So, I mean, that team will be scary next year. We know the Bears will be scary, but I'm expecting a slight regression from them just because
Yeah.
they're winning all these really close games. Like you can only come back so many times, and it reminds me of like the Vikings from a few years ago when they had Kirk Cousins. Like They were 13-3, made the playoffs. They're like
Mhm.
a top seed. They
And they
lose
lost
first
first round.
round,
Yeah, to the
but
Giants.
you can just see that by the point differential. They were 13-3. They had like a plus 10 point differential. They're not blowing teams out. They're just coming back. Good teams blow teams out. Mediocre teams just win those close games. And I'm not going to discredit the Bears. Like they obviously had a good season, but look at the Commanders from last year. They come in, they kind of shook everything up. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is the future dynasty. They're winning close games." And then the next season, it just completely falls off, which you can
Mhm.
contribute to injuries, but I don't think that Commanders team was that. They were good, but they weren't that good to where they got last year. And I'm expecting the same from the Bears.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. As you know, Packers great organization. Thank you, Julian, for joining us. We really appreciate it. This was a great video, and I wish the Packers luck this offseason and next year.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be here too.